All right, folks, let's get started. We got an action-packed agenda tonight. Again, my name is Chris Ritchie. I'm a REDI director. I'm the lucky enough REDI director to be the president of REDI. So I'm going to be your MC tonight. Like I said, we've got a lot of good content, a lot of good speakers tonight to cover. I was told to stand here because it makes me look 20 years younger. If I blind anybody because of my male pattern baldness, I'm sorry. Take it up with my mother and father. So, a couple people we get to thank tonight. General Duffy's, if you've not been to this annex before, it's fantastic. We've used it. Let's give them a quick hand. Thank you. A couple other sponsors that we want to recognize. Our title sponsors this year, SunWest Builders, Express Employment Professionals. We also want to make sure that we acknowledge our presenting sponsors, Summit Bank. Where you at? There's Marty. Compass Commercial Real Estate, and Mike's Fence Company. Also, we want to thank i3D for their support as well. Thank you to our sponsors. Without our sponsors, we would not be able to host these events and be able to do a lot of the work that we do. So thank you again. Please patronize them as they do help Redmond for the better. Our lineup tonight, just to give you a quick run of the agenda. First, we're going to hear from our director, Steve Curley, on some current and new development projects that are affecting Redmond. Next, we'll introduce you to our expert panel on our housing development and address some of what we call building blocks in a tight real estate market. After that, you'll want to pay attention to this because somebody that hits a little bit close to home, because I've used their munitions before, Nosler Incorporated. They're moving to town, so we want to give them a good welcome. And also, if you have not received a red ticket, that's going to be a raffle. We'll have plenty of a couple auction items that we'll give away, raffle items tonight. So please, you must be present to win. Everyone hear me okay? Great. They don't serve bourbon here, so I can't get any louder. Inside joke. Do appreciate the RPM. So, as we're rolling through here, I want to keep us on schedule because, like I said, we have a lot of stuff to cover tonight. News and Brews is an annual event that REDI hosts. Made possible by our generous sponsors, we'd like to call out our first title sponsor of the night, SunWest Builders. For over 30 years, SunWest has become the builder of choice for commercial and residential projects in Central Oregon. REDI is grateful for their support to help build more than structures, but also building relationships in the region. Mr. Steve Buettner, please come on up. There he is. I know, right like the waitress does every time it's full of your mouth. Come on up here.
Are we sitting down?
Huh?
No.
Just go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for turning out tonight. It's really great to see such a good turnout for REDI. I think, like he said, we're here in Redmond. We've been here for now going on 35 years. We're really excited to be part of the community, and we're also really excited to partner with REDI. REDI's done such a great job. We've known and worked with them for many, many years, and we really appreciate everything they do for the community. The businesses that they bring in, the jobs that they create, it's been a real bonus for Redmond. So we just like to say thank you, and thank you for all attending.
Thanks, Steve. Thank you, Steve. Not to be outdone by another Steve, but he just might try. Steve Curley has been the executive director, I think, going on just about 2 years. Year and a half. Okay, I round up. Steve and I, Steve's lucky enough to work with me on REDI and my wife on another board, so he's getting on both ends. So appreciate your patience with us. But Steve has been in the position and has done some really great work. There's another guy out here. I can't see that far. He's way in the back. John, where are you? There he is. Steve took over not too long ago and as a director of the board, and also the president now. Really appreciate what Steve's done, caring for your family, caring for our community. Really appreciate it. And there's a lot of stuff that you're doing that I'm really excited here for the community to hear about. So Steve, come on up.
Test. All right. Thanks, Matt. All right. I'm going to stand where I don't have a light in my eye. It's great to see everyone. Thank you for coming out tonight. It's always fun to get together with the Redmond community, and it's a great group of people, very diverse, and everyone who cares about Redmond and seeing the growth. And thank you again for coming out. I'm going to do a little update tonight and talk about some of the things that I see going on, and then we'll have time for some Q&A. So if you want to ask me more specific questions, we can cover that. And I'm going to do it by way of a sort of a SWOT analysis. So I'll look at strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And just to start off with strengths, we have a very strong pipeline here in Redmond for potential projects. We've got 31 companies in the pipeline, which represent 2,019 jobs and over $441 million in potential capital investment. So there continues to be strong interest in Redmond. Of those projects, 20 of them are grow projects, companies that are already here looking to expand. 11 of them are move projects where they would be coming from another area. And so that continues to be strong. And what I'm seeing is that companies really want to be here. The companies that are here and growing, they want to stay here. This community is really valued, and it shows when I talk to companies that are interested in coming here. And one of the other strengths I'll talk about, which you might think is a little bit odd, is workforce. So we continue to have a gap in workforce. Everyone knows that, especially our employers out there. But what we do have here in Redmond, when you begin to look at the manufacturing, the composites, we have a very experienced workforce. And when other companies see that and they see that opportunity, that's a plus. You look at a company like BaseX, who we have Dawn here from BaseX, and they're at about 600 employees now. And 2 or 3 years ago, it was about what, 250?
It was 130, about 3.5 years ago.
133.5 years ago. Okay. It's hard to get workforce, but they're doing it, right? Companies are making it happen. So, and the people that are here tend to stay here. They're less transient. They enjoy the area. And so that's a really positive that we have for this region. So, weaknesses. Nobody likes to talk about weaknesses, but we do have some. And one of those is centered around our need for funding for infrastructure. Our distinguished Mayor, Ed Fitch, just walked in, and he and I have had recent conversations about this. And so REDI is working on that. You know, we can have land, which we do, but if we can't serve that land with water, sewer, and power, we can't get employment on that land. So we're working hard, both at REDI in collaboration with the city of Redmond, to open up opportunities to get that infrastructure so that we can get companies located there. But that, I would put that under a bit of a weakness. We need childcare, right? We have a lack of childcare, and so we're continuing to work on that. We have new slots that are opening up through a state grant funding that was been facilitated through Neighbor Impact. And so far, they have funded 11 projects in Redmond that will open up 200 slots for Redmond to date. And for Central Oregon, it's over 500, but in Redmond, we have 200 of those. So we're working hard to make sure that we have childcare for the companies that are here. Availability of housing continues to be a weakness, but I'm going to leave that for our housing panel to talk about after I get done here. And then one other area is our vacancy rate. So you look at the industrial vacancy rate, and Compass Commercial does a great job with their quarterly Compass points. I told Graham I'd point that out and try and embarrass him if I could. So anyway, they do a great job with that. So in Q2 of this year, our vacancy rate was 5.24%, which was the highest it's been in probably a couple years, I would say. And then the most recent quarter, it went down to 1.16%. So to give you an idea, Redmond has about 1.75 million square feet of industrial space. That's a little over 20,000 square feet that's available. So we need more space. And you might say, well, hey, how did it go from 5 to 1? What happened? So we had a unique situation. The Traeger pellet plant decided to close down. It's about 72,000 square feet. That's what pushed it up. That's a pretty unique space. That's a lot of square footage. You don't see that around here coming online, and it's usually a little bit more of a unique size to fill, right? But within a month, that space was taken by BaseX. So they are expanding and using that space. So, whenever we do get space, it gets absorbed. So in REDI's pipeline, we do have some flex space coming online. Permitted or under construction, we have a little under 37,000 square feet in a couple buildings that should be done by next year. So that space, when it gets built, it gets absorbed. So that shows that, in spite of the interest rates, investment is still happening and space is still getting absorbed. In our owner-occupied pipeline of space, it's if everything came to fruition, which it rarely does, it's a little over 1.4 million square feet. So I'll talk a little bit about opportunities. Redmond has an opportunity to become a player in the semiconductor industry by attracting supply chain type businesses. We're working to identify different types of companies that will work well in our area based on how far we are from Hillsboro. So we obviously have a very large chip manufacturing company in Hillsboro. It's not likely that we'll have an Intel in Redmond anytime soon. However, there's opportunities in supply chain. And some of that supply chain has to be 3 minutes away or 15 minutes away. But some of that supply chain can be 3 hours away, like SpaceX. Common theme, Don. So, they provide clean rooms and things like that. They can be 3 hours away from the Hillsboro area and still support that industry. We have a company that we're working with. We've been working with them for about a year. It was recently announced that they received a promise of $1.65 million from the Oregon CHIPS Act funding that the state is doing. They're also pursuing federal funding. But out of the $220 million, they have an opportunity for $1.65 million. And so that company will hopefully be starting here soon, and we will have another stake in the ground in the semiconductor industry, and we're going to continue to pursue other companies in that sector that we can host that will support that industry and see if we can grow that. Because there's a lot of money being invested in onshoring semiconductor supply chain in that industry so that we're not so dependent on China and Taiwan. So other opportunities, when you look at the public side of things, Redmond over the next 2 to 3 years, I think, Ed, is investing $500 million in public projects. That includes the airport. It includes a new wetlands project for sewer, public safety building, library, and the hospital cancer center. So these significant investments in public projects show the strength of Redmond as a community to support this future growth on the private side as well. So these are all really good signs. When we look at threats, and I'll wrap up with this, we have to look at the current interest rates, the rising interest rates, having an impact on projects, more so on our move projects, companies that really want to be here, but maybe the timing just isn't right because it's a little more expensive than it was a couple years ago because of the interest rates. It doesn't change their desire, but it changes their timing. So that's had an impact on the front end of our pipeline. We also see regulation as a competitive disincentive when we look at Oregon to other states, not just Redmond, but all of Oregon. And so hopefully there'll be conversations around things like the corporate activities tax, that we can raise that to a higher threshold so our smaller companies will be less affected by that. There was a little bit of talk about that in the last legislative session, but nothing got traction. So I'd like to finish just by touching on a few significant projects, one of which you'll hear about a little bit later tonight. But the first one that's been long awaited is a company called Wild Mike's Ultimate Pizza. So they're about ready to start their project over on the east side off 9th Street. And they will be moving dirt here hopefully this month. And that project will get underway, and that'll bring 114 jobs to our community when, as they wrap that up and get it rolling. It'll be a state-of-the-art pizza manufacturing facility right here in Redmond. Probably they're trying to be the most state-of-the-art in the country. So, and if you haven't tried a Wild Mike's Pizza, you can get them at Winco or Fred Meyer, wherever. They're sort of a natural pizza. They're pretty good for frozen pizza. And then the other project you're going to hear about tonight, I'm very excited. We've got Mark Roberts and Zach from Nosler, and they're going to talk about their expansion in Redmond that'll bring 150 jobs to our area. So more on that. So thank you for your attention. I've got a few minutes maybe, or maybe I don't, for questions.
Yes, questions. I know we have questions. Like, will Wild Mike's let me go in and eat pizza? Oops, sorry, Mayor. Didn't mean to chest bump you there. Any questions? More serious questions than will Wild Mike let me test their pizza? Or my kids? Any questions?
No questions?
No questions.
All right, look at that.
You did great.
I must have did such a good job.
You did excellent, Steve.
Yeah.
Good job.
Very good. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Here. Thank you. Pretty cool to hear that type of numbers, the types of jobs that are coming. Obviously not without challenges, but as a community, I think we can work together through those challenges. So thank you, Steve. Thanks for your leadership. Next, we have an opportunity. Let me make sure I get to my notes. That helps. There we go. So those of you that may not know, REDI is investor funded, partly from the city, but also partly from individuals in this room, companies in this room. I'm a REDI investor. There's other folks in this room that are also REDI investors. You don't have to, but let me tell you, a rising tide raises all boats. The more work that REDI can do to lay the groundwork to bring good living wage jobs to Redmond, diversifies our economy, improves the overall dynamic of our economy, the diversity of our economy. So what REDI is doing is fantastic. So the more you want to find out, we're going to hear a little bit more about that in just a minute. But I will say, if you're not already an investor, stay tuned for an announcement on that. Also, one of our next events is our Investor Social that's coming up, where there's at least more than one drink ticket that's provided to you, and you don't have to hear from me trying to make jokes all night or day. So next, I'm pleased to, this guy and I go way back, Chris Petty from Express Employment Professionals, providing Redmond and the region with over 30 years of experience helping you get the local work or workers that you need. Here to tell us more about Express Employment Professionals, my other brother, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
You're welcome.
Our parents love us. They gave us different last names, but the same first name. So I'm Chris Petty. I'm the franchise manager for Express Employment Professionals here in Central Oregon. A lot of people know this name I'm about to say, Karen Turner. She is the head of our specialized recruiting group. So I always like to say Express is kind of like your Fred Meyer. It's your one-stop shop. You can get all the groceries you need. With us, you can get all the workers that you need. I see a lot of familiar faces here, people that I've staffed for in the past, people that have not let me staff for them yet, but I will not stop knocking on your doors. We're your one-stop shop, so anything from your entry level general labor all the way up to vice presidents and presidents of companies. There is not a position that we cannot fill. We were Central Oregon's first ever staffing firm. We will actually celebrate 40 years in Central Oregon on August 24th of next year. Really honored to carry on the legacy that Connie Drewliner has set forth for our team. I know everybody has issues with staffing, finding the right people. We're here to help. We're honestly, my motto for our business, and my team follows it, is if we make our local community 1% better than we did the day before, we did our job that day. Although I'd like to shoot for a lot higher than 1%, but we'll start there. So I have about 6 team members here today. If you want to talk about what we can do to help you with staffing, or just some advice on, hey, where my pay rates need to be at, whatever it may be, we'd love to chat. And then also, I'm going to do another plug. I'm also a board member for the Boys and Girls Club. We have our biggest annual fundraiser 2 weeks from Saturday, or a week from Saturday. Flannel and Frost, we have 15 seats left. And so if you'd like to come and support the local youth in the community, we'd love to see you there. So, and also, REDI, you guys are great. We love partnering with you. Karen's on the board now. We worked with you guys for years, and we just really love this event. So thank you, everybody, for coming out. Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris. All right, this next section is really going to be, I think, a pretty impactful part of the program tonight. So one of the things I want to ask from the audience is, I know there's a lot of folks all the way here with side conversations. If we can at least give our guests the courtesy to just kind of give them our attention, that would be great. So would our panelists please go ahead and come on up? Thank you. So our panelists here, I'll do a quick introduction and then let them introduce themselves a little bit further. We have Tom Bennett, Hayden Simplicity Homes, Heather McDowell from Windermere Real Estate, Don Mountainier, Beacon Appraisal Group. So we're going to go ahead and have you all introduce yourselves first, and then I'll get to some questions here. Hopefully there's enough time for us in the community to ask some more questions as well. Don, let's start with you.
Hi, I'm Don at Beacon Appraisal Group. I've came out of Bratton Appraisal Group, took over the Redmond office, and been doing it since 2015, and glad to be here. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Tom Bennett. I'm the Regional Construction Director for Simplicity by Hayden Homes, which is the Build on Your Lot division of Hayden Homes. Hayden Homes has been in Redmond, Oregon for 34 years with the introduction of Simplicity Homes 14 years ago.
Hi there, my name is Heather McDowell, and I'm with Windermere Central Oregon Real Estate. I've been in Central Oregon for 7 years, and that's when I started real estate. I was born in Eugene and left for the Navy, and when I came back, I found myself here. It's a wonderful place to be.
Awesome, thanks for your service. So Heather, let's go ahead and start with you. What type of people are purchasing homes in Redmond? The income level, profession, demographic, what's selling right now, what's average? Give us kind of a temperature check on our local real estate market.
So anytime somebody asks what's going on in the market, it's a loaded question. You can talk all day about it. The good thing is there is a market. People love coming to Central Oregon. As Bend becomes more expensive, people are moving around. We're seeing a lot of people still coming in. So we have the lack of housing. A lot of people are coming in that have sold homes. So the interest rates aren't always necessarily a factor for them purchasing. They have money to put down. So that's going to be maybe the older demographic. And then we still have a lot of first-time home buyers. So the entry-level market's really good. You see a variance of days on the market with the homes. And we're just seeing a lot of seller concessions, rate buy downs, and I'm seeing them work. So 15,000, 19,000 I've had recently in offers where sellers are helping with that rate. And even though the purchase prices aren't coming down as much as some people hope they would, they're still buying. The cost to rent is still just so much that it just becomes a better option. And then you have that middle range where sometimes people have to sell or buy just depending on what's going on in their lives. So they have to move for a job, family, retirement. But some of those houses in the middle range are sitting just a little bit longer. But the good news is we still have things happening, and I think the market will stay strong even though it's a little bit slower. We just need to have more homes and just keep creating more jobs and bringing more people. So then with the median house price, it's $506,000 right now. And things just change so quickly. So it's, like I said, it's a loaded question. Day by day, week to week, things are constantly changing. But it's very exciting.
Thank you. And speaking of more homes, that may be part of our solution, is having more homes. So, Tom, next question is for you. What is the greatest obstacle to increasing residential development from your perspective? Land cost, infrastructure, availability? Shoot.
Multifaceted question there for sure. As was referred to earlier, I mean, infrastructure availability is a big one, and that obviously affects the land cost and land pricing. Where the infrastructure is available, more competition for the land, higher sales price, and then where the infrastructure is not available, of course, more land, but we've got to get the infrastructure there. And what does that look like, and what's the challenge? You know, for the city of Redmond to get the infrastructure there, typically a city wants to put in the infrastructure to draw development in a certain direction, and that's just more dollars, and that's the challenge the city of Redmond's having. The developer or the builder to shoulder the cost, that is one option, and it's a long commitment. From that developer, that builder, which Hayden Homes is, you know, we are committed to the community, so we are taking on some of these projects to shoulder some of the upfront costs to get this infrastructure in. So that is the carry cost of that, and the time it takes to recoup those dollars back in credits. I mean, for example, if it's $1 million sewer project and we get $3,500 in SDC credits for sewer, math is about 300 homes. So if it's a 200 home subdivision, it's quite the commitment to get those dollars back. So we are here and we're committed to that, and we are looking at those pieces of property around town. I think one of the other biggest challenges that we have is once we've got the land, it's, you know, the land use part of it and getting through the land use. We've been on a project for about 3.5 years now, working to get it in and annexed in. And with that being said, we want to give kudos to Mayor Fitch and the current staff at the city, because we've seen quite a movement in the last 6 months with their commitment and understanding of how important it is to get these online. If you can only imagine it, if we could have got that online, you know, this year, and what difference that would make. But from the time we get approval, it's still another 18 months of development. So, you know, 5-year time frame. I mean, the land use approval is huge. And I think it's also the community's responsibility on the land use, and all of us in here, when that goes up for public comment, everybody understanding what the impact is and the need for it, and all of us here as business owners encouraging that and reminding our friends and family of how important it is for these approvals when these land use comment periods come up.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate that. Don, let's transition over to you. What are the top 3 things driving housing values in the Redmond market?
Low inventory, I'd say.
Real tough one there, isn't it?
I'm done? No, seriously, we had a discussion. We have a small group of appraisers that meet quarterly, and one of them brought up a very interesting topic. I brought in some data from the 90s. So this is going from 90 to 97. The average marketing time was just around 6 to 7 months on the market. Our inventory also was hovering around 5 to 6 months supply. And the topic went from what changed then to now. And technology is a big piece of that. I think the availability of somebody from the Bay Area looking at homes in Central Oregon at the touch of a button is phenomenal. And so I think that's a piece of it, but there's still this underlying tone of lack of inventory. So we've been hovering around 2 almost 3 months back and forth. And it's kind of unfair to compare that to 6-month supply, given all the changes, but there's still that strong market there. And if you roll back to even 2005, technology had changed, and we had a huge plummet, which we saw up to a 13-month supply coming out of that recessionary period. So there's still an active supply and demand component, even with the technology, that I believe should be over that 2-month supply. Maybe less than 5 now, but I think 2 months is still evidence in our sales prices not being reduced. Buyers are kicking the tires a lot more, but overall, those sales prices are staying pretty solid. So I would say the inventory is the big piece of it. And then, what was your other question? What was sorry.
What's driving housing? 3 things.
Okay. Okay. So I think another significant piece that I've seen is the amount of cash coming into Central Oregon. So I split up conventional to cash transactions every month. And oddly enough, even when I was getting feedback that there was a large amount of cash transactions, that ratio was pretty tight in correlation to one another. But what the data doesn't tell me is if a person puts 60, 70% down and finances the rest, it still shows up as conventional. So it's not a very good indicator to see, but word on the street is a lot of cash coming in. Again, that's going to solidify the housing market if you compare it to our big bang in 2005, 2006. So cash coming in is a lot more secure market.
Thank you for that. So I guess one question that I have is over the next 5 years, say, what do you all feel the residential real estate market is going to look like? We talk about, the pipeline of our jobs that are coming to Redmond. We're going to be able to house them. What does that look like? I'd love to hear all of you comment on that. Heather, you want to go first?
It just seems to be booming, and as we grow and people still want to come to Central Oregon, we have great companies out here. We just have that need for housing, pushing out that urban growth boundary, probably more of that west side of Redmond by 35th. It seems like there's a lot of land that we can still develop, but then all of the other things along with it, the costs, and then what really is affordable. So a lot of buyers are choosing to buy just because of the cost of rent. But what is real affordable housing compared to what people are making? There's such a big difference with the incomes here. We have a lot of self-employed people. We have a lot of work from home, healthcare, and you just have this in between where they're just having a hard time making it. So what is really affordable? There's no one answer. So we have to find some programs and ways to really get people into homes, and if they can own something and get some equity. But I think it's going to keep growing.
Thank you, Heather. Tom, anything to add?
Well, I'm going to refer back to the infrastructure plan and making sure that we're in front of it now in 5 years to make sure that we're there. I see it that it's going to be smaller homes, smaller square footages, higher density to be able to meet the price point so folks can afford it. I mean, for example, 2 years ago, 1,900 square foot at 5% down and 3%, was about a $2,100 a month payment. And now we're seeing it's 1,500 square feet and having to put like 10% down at the interest rate we got now to even try and achieve a payment that's the same. So we're on $400,000, 10% is a lot of money. So what's the alternative? It's smaller square footages, I think. I think it's we're gonna see.
Thank you, Tom. Don?
So one of the joys about being an appraiser is following the social aspect of the market. And it's also the most hair-pulling, too. You can see I'm a little thin upstairs. So, migration is very fascinating to me. For example, during the last big boom we had in Bend, same kind of story. Everything pushed out. Polish was building in Lapine, Madras. I mean, all these developments were going up real quick in order to meet that housing need. And as we all know, the recessionary period was like a big tidal wave coming back in. Smaller areas, new subdivisions got hit first. Bend became very affordable in 2012. You know, the prices just plummeted. And what we saw was a huge migration back into Bend. In a short matter of time, the bank owns, short sales, all those low-priced properties were gobbled up. And then here we go again. This last time, it's been a slow, steady growth. Madras was just turning the corner. And, you know, it wasn't the crazy growth that we saw in 2005, 2006. Forecasting forward, many of you are business owners, and for me, I appreciate looking at the last year and saying, okay, all things equal, I can project next year, the following year, so on and so forth. Unfortunately, it's the story of my life. Everything changes. There's enough variables that change. I don't have a consistent year to year. And I think, you know, what I like to say with the housing market, aside from the unknown economic catastrophe, all other indicators are pretty dang solid. And so what I'm hopeful for, not that I'm a pessimist, but what I'm looking for is that trend back to where we should be in a normal cycle. And we've seen that last year. We're seeing it this year again. Fall sloughs off, demand slows, things just get slow in the wintertime. That's pretty historical. You know, the 4-day marketing time, that was unrealistic. That was an anomaly coming out of COVID and the high migration. So I'm hopeful, you know, you look at 2012 when we stabilized from the last recessionary period, it took years for that to get back to just a normal median home price that was on a trajectory for where we should have been. So I think, again, this anomaly that we just faced through what I call the COVID whatever, the COVID aspect of the market, consequence of the market, it's going to take a long time for that to filter out. And I think the interest rates are going to be a key part of that, of course. But the last month, we had over an 8-month supply in the homes that were 600 to 650,000 here in Redmond. So there's certain categories that are actually showing a swelling. And I think that's a pushback from the market, and it doesn't cause alarm. And I think we're a long way away from 2011 type of values again. I don't think that's going to happen. So I think the future looks strong at this point, aside from an economic catastrophe. How's that?
That's a good positive outlook, so I appreciate that. We've got time for maybe one or two more questions. Yes.
From a business perspective, the housing market really does impact our ability to recruit, our ability to bring people in from other areas of Oregon. And my question to you is, what is the issue with increasing the inventory? Is it the infrastructure issue? Is it the land use? What is holding us back from being able to increase our housing capabilities so that we can bring more people in to, you know, that we want to hire?
I would say
Thank you,
all
Dawn.
of the above. And with these people that you're bringing in, are they able to afford the purchase prices? There's just not available. Are they in that mid-level, like 6, 7?
Entry level, all the way through, so high executives, but it's still difficult because there's such a low inventory. I'm just wondering what is it that we do as a county to help support the growth of this?
Right, because a lot of times the house for the new construction, and they're offering great incentives right now, and they haven't done that since 2018, is they're like, it's not going to be ready for 3 months, so after the holidays. So I would say talk to people in the community, go to the different builders, have a realtor that you can talk to, someone that you trust, because there's a lot of things that we can do. Sometimes we go knock on doors if somebody wants to buy somebody's house. I mean, we find creative ways. So I think it is all of the above.
Hello. Oh, sorry. It is the infrastructure and the time to approval to get land use approval. It's a long process, and like I referred to earlier, right now we've seen a lot of improvement in the last 6 months with Mayor Fitch and seeing the need. Previously, it was slow, and we could have projects on land. Hayden Homes has, right now, we have fewer projects that we're selling out of than we've had in 15 years. So it is a real constraint for us. We have the ability to bring on land and get it going, but we need to get through the land approval process, and we need the infrastructure to support it. So,
One more question. Going once, going twice. Let's give our panelists a big round of applause. Thank you. Thank you all. Thanks, Tom.
thank you.
A lot of good information there. I would encourage you, after we wrap up here, corner them, pepper them more with those questions, because I know you all have them, because that seems to be a key to future development. So, hey, the next speaker that I'm going to have up here is going to ask you something, and if you've been here before, you've probably heard or familiar with this ask, but this gentleman is a close friend, has become a close friend, and I would say mentor. I'd like to welcome up Steve Bettis. He's the Vice President of Medline Renewal. He's a REDI director, been a REDI director at least 10 years. His wisdom has been shared with myself as somebody who's only been there a few years. So with that, Steve, I'd love to welcome you up to the stage. He's got something to share about what REDI does and what REDI needs from you.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Good to see you all. Past president's supposed to have the easy jobs, but I guess this is. It's an easy ask, right? We need investors, right, for REDI to function. 40% of all REDI's funds come from you, the investors. So if you're an investor, we use your money very wisely in the community. It's a great board. It's a working board. It's why I'm part of it for 10 years, right? I will tell you, it's a fine group of people that I work with on the board. And look, I joined the board because when Medline Renewal, we were in a leased facility, very small, and we were expanding. This was 2015. We knew we need space, and REDI was instrumental in that. And if you've been around a while, you've heard the story before, and I won't go into all the details. But look, REDI made sure that we stayed here. We weren't relocating to California or Chicago, back where corporate headquarters was. They were very instrumental in that. They connected us with the city officials. They helped us pick the land out on Hemlock, right? And all the development fees and tax incentives, it was all very valuable. And in return, not only did they convince me to be a board member after all that was done, which again was very worthwhile, that's why I'm still on it. But look, we were able to look far enough in the future. I remember sitting down with the city of Redmond and looking out, I want to know 10 years, what's your plan? Can we expand? And we just finished that expansion. So when you look at the amount of money that goes into the community from just our build, if you look at the original build in 2017, and then we just doubled the size and completed it this year, so we're 100,000 square feet now, 300 employees, almost all the money, 98% of the money that was spent doing those expansions and doing the original build, it's over $35 million. It all stayed here. So no Chicago contractor came out. Our contractor right there, SunWest Builders, for both the build and expansion. And again, with SunWest, all the subs are local. So again, that money stays in the community. So it's not just about the manufacturing or getting companies to come here, but it's keeping them here and then the money dumping into the community. And that's an easy story, but I was sitting there just now thinking about this. It's not all about the success stories. Like, we've got a lot of success here tonight. You're gonna hear from Nosler, Basic's already been recognized, great growth, right? But if we look back, I've been here 30 years. And there's companies, big name companies that were here. Everybody remember Cessna, right? They were in Central Oregon. Beaver Motor Coaches, 500 people building luxury RVs. The economy goes up and down, and traded sector a lot of times suffers for that. And the stronger we can make our traded sector, the stronger we make our community, which is, like, it'd be really easy to be selfish up here and say, well, I'm sitting with Basics tonight, right? Like, oh no, we're competing for employees. But it's not about that. It's what's good for the community, right? When there's competition, then we all have to be better to get employees in the door, okay? And that's what's good for our community. That's what makes us strong. So that's my long-winded answer of now the ask, why you should become an investor with REDI. And those are great reasons, because there's a focus on the traded sector, and there's a lot of jobs there that affect all the other jobs in this room. So like I said, 40% comes from investors, okay? We have close to 100 investors right now, okay? Again, the money's spent wisely. We've got great oversight. We work closely with the city. I mean, REDI's offices are in City Hall. How's that for a relationship, right? So again, strong group. If you're interested, you know, if I get all the board members that are here right now tonight, just to raise your hand, look around. All these board members, you know, they can talk to you about REDI, why they're there, why you should consider being part of REDI. There's also a QR code, although Mary, I don't know where it's at, but there's a QR code you can scan. Oh, the big one right here, right? And that'll take you to the website and give you some information. There's multiple levels of sponsorship, so you've got levels. You can start off entry level, see if you like it, see if it benefits you. But again, thank you for being here tonight. We really appreciate you, and I hope you consider becoming an investor with REDI. Thanks.
Good job. A lot of wisdom there. What Steve also didn't mention is if you want to learn more information about it once a month or every other month, we'll invite you out to a cocktail hour. Cocktails on us. So you can get this little bit more one-on-one information about how REDI might impact you or already be benefiting you today and how you can give back to your community. So Steve, thank you again. All right, we're moving right along. I really appreciate your all's attentiveness here. Next, we're going to hear our company spotlight for News and Brews this year, 2023, and we'd like to introduce you to Nosler. So, as we welcome Mark Roberts and Zach Waterman up to the stage, I'll give them a quick introduction. Mark is the Vice President and Chief Financial Officer of Nosler. Zach is the Public Relations Director of Nosler as well. They have been in Central Oregon for some time, but now they're going to begin to call Redmond their home. So without further ado, give a warm Redmond welcome to Mark and Zach. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here. It's been a fun event. You stole my first line introducing ourselves, but I did want to mention that both Mark and I did grow up in Bend in the Central Oregon area, and we've raised our family in the Central Oregon area. So we're very passionate about Central Oregon and the community. So we're very lucky to be able to live and to work here, and we remind ourselves of that all the time. So Nosler is a family-owned company, third generation ran right now. So it was actually founded in 1948 in Ashland, Oregon. So this year we're celebrating our 75th anniversary of being in business. And the story, it's kind of a great American story of how the company got started. So John A. Nosler, he was living in Ashland, Oregon with his family in 1976, and he owned a trucking company. John was a very avid hunter and competitive shooter, and him and his buddy decided that they want to go, close, there we go. Can you hear me better? Okay, sorry about that. That they wanted to go drive up to British Columbia and go moose hunting. So that's what they did, packed up, went up to Canada to go moose hunting. And after a few days of moose hunting, John actually experienced a critical fail on his bullet. He actually ended up kind of wounding the animal a little bit, broke his heart. And when he got back home, he researched hunting bullets and how they're manufactured. And he found that they were mostly manufactured all the same way. And he's like, there's got to be a better solution out there. And since John was from the Great Depression era, he was pretty pretty smart about fixing those problems. So he got down on a table with a pad of paper and a pencil and drew a bunch of designs that he thought would work. And he actually found one or settled on one that he liked. And he called a bunch of companies, bullet manufacturers, ammo manufacturers around the country, machinists, to get this idea in front of him to see if that bullet does it have a future in the hunting world? And they pretty much all said, well, your design looks like it should work in theory, but the problem is there's no way to, we can't manufacture that in high capacity. You'd have to hand make that bullet. So that doesn't sound very profitable, so thank you for coming by, but no thank you. So John drove home, had a long drive to think about it. He's like, okay, well, I guess I'm gonna be hand making these bullets then. So he came home, got some raw materials, some tooling, some machinery together, and went into his shop and started working away until he finally figured out how to make some prototypes of these bullets. So he's like, okay, I think we're doing something here. We're going to the range, test them for accuracy. And he called it pie plate accuracy. So he could hit a pie plate at 100 yards. And he thought for a 1,500-pound moose, that should be adequate. So the very next year, 1947, him and his buddy pack up, drive up to BC, and the bullet did exactly what they wanted it to do. It performed perfectly. He was pretty excited. He thought he was onto something. So they drove back, and he starts making more and more of these bullets for family and friends to use and get their in-field experience with this product. And he's getting rave reviews like, oh, no, this is the best bullet I've ever hunted with. So now this keeps going on through 1948, and John rushes home from his trucking job at the day, scarfs down dinner, runs to the shop, starts making bullets, because now he's got 2 jobs now. And finally, at the end of 1948, his wife sat him down and said, John, I would really love you to be part of the family again. So if you could pick the bullet business or the trucking business, we would love it. We'll support you. And the rest is history. He sold the trucking business and got into the bullet business. And about 10 years later, he got he's got 10 employees. He's growing a little bit, being successful. And about that same time, the Bend City leadership decided, like, we need to get some diversification in our economy, because we're all relying on the mill. That's kind of one source of economy. Like, we need more stuff here. We need more industry. So they went out and basically recruited more businesses, and John's Nosler Partition Company was one of those businesses. So they kind of approached him like, hey, we'll give you a piece of land out in the outskirts of Bend, which is now located behind the outlet malls in Bend, and you can build your company out there. And John liked the hunting better over here anyways, so he picked up the family and the company and moved him over to Bend. So we've been here since 1958. And eventually his sons, Ron and Bob Nosler, joined the company, and they're both very good businessmen as well. So they were able to keep growing the company. And by 1981, they couldn't fit into their factory anymore in their original location. So at the time, the mill was shrinking, and the city was giving out incentives to purchase land at the prior old mill site, which since then there's been a lot of investment in the old mill site. We've kind of been built up around us. But yeah, so they decided to make that investment and build a much bigger factory for us to grow into, and that's still our current headquarters right now. But in 2005, not until 2005, the only thing Nosler made were the projectiles, or the bullets. So for hand loaders or for other companies like Federal or Winchester to load our bullets into their premium hunting ammunition. So 2005, the Nosler family decided to diversify. So we came out with Nosler Custom Brass for precision reloaders, Nosler Custom Ammunition, and Nosler Custom Rifles, or bolt-action hunting rifles. So kind of putting their toes in the water to see how it would be received, and it was received very, very well. It's actually helped our company grow tremendously over the years. So when I started in 2009, our catalog was about 20 to 22 pages long, and now it's 60 pages long. So a tremendous amount of growth in the last 15, 20 years, which has been fun to see and watch. And then in 2014, we had the opportunity to acquire a brass manufacturing plant. And because we were actually relying on outside vendors to provide our brass to us, and deliveries were a little dodgy and delayed, and we're depending on other people for our success. So we ended up purchasing that brass manufacturing plant, and that was up in Rainier, Washington, which is about a 6-hour drive north of here. And their culture was not the same as Nosler's manufacturing culture of quality and consistency. So while they were making the brass, it was a lot of times it was out of spec. So we kind of got fed up with that, bought 60 acres in Redmond in that industrial plant kind of behind McDonald's over here, and then built a 30,000 square foot factory, and then put that ammunition or that brass plant in Redmond. And then at that time, our ammunition division was growing so big we couldn't fit it in Bend, so we moved that over to Redmond as well. And then our rifle division is also in the Redmond plant. So now it's packed in there. There's a bunch of employees, a bunch of equipment, a bunch of products. So it's good to see the growth in that factory. So now we have a little video to watch. the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation helped us film and edit this video, and it kind of gives you the 10,000-foot flyover of Nosler and the products we make and the things we do and the pride our staff has in our products.
There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of things going on. What we do is very precise. The end product might seem simple, but the process to make it is not. 70 years worth of accrued experience. Quality first isn't just a saying that's painted on the wall. It's the guiding principle that affects every decision that we make. We are a manufacturer of bullets, brass, ammunition, and rifles. The story actually begins in 1946. When John A. Nosler, our founder, went on a moose hunt in British Columbia. He came across a big bull moose at close range, shot the moose, fully expecting it to go down. And it didn't. He ended up having to shoot it several times before he finally anchored that moose. The high velocity of the cartridge he was using and the close range that he was at was putting too much stress on those bullets. It was a simple cup and core bullet of the day. He came away from that hunt with the desire to create a better hunting bullet. He came up with the idea for the partition bullet with separate front and rear lead cores. And so the next year, he went back to British Columbia, and the rest is history. The moose that wouldn't go down, he's out there watching over the production floor, kind of like think he's making sure, you know, everybody's making good bullets. When most people think of a bullet, they are actually thinking of a cartridge, because most people say bullet and they imagine loaded ammunition. When you're talking about the bullet, which is just the projectile, which is the majority of what we make, most people probably assume it's just a simple chunk of lead with a copper jacket around it. They would have been right 100 years ago. So there's two different processes we use to make bullets here at Nosler. There's the cup and draw process, and there's the impact extrusion process. With the cup and draw process, you're gonna start out with a thin copper ribbon or strip. You're gonna punch out a disc and then draw that out into the jacket. You're gonna insert a lead core, and then you're gonna have a finished bullet. The advantage of this process is very efficient. Raw materials go in, finished bullets come out. The disadvantage is you can't make the jacket any thicker than the material that you start out with. But for a hunting bullet, you're gonna wanna use the impact extrusion process. Start out with this solid copper wire to make the jackets of the bullet. End up with a slug, and that's what we're gonna use to make the jacket of the bullet. As that punch forces that slug, and ultimately the jacket, that soft piece of copper has no choice but to conform to the shape of the punch in the die. The finish press is then gonna insert the lead core, we're gonna form the nose of the bullet, we're gonna insert a tip, and then have a finished bullet. The advantage of this is what allows us to engineer the terminal performance into our hunting bullets. This is what allows us to make a bullet such as the partition, AccuBond, ballistic tip, our E-tip bullet. This is where we're gonna make the lead wire that will become the core of the bullet. So we're gonna start out with this lead billet right here. It's about 70 pounds of lead. You'll load it into the hydraulic ram over there. It's gonna just use brute force to shove that lead through a die and make the lead wire. It's gonna go onto a spool that's ultimately gonna become the core of the lead core bullet. Yeah, there's really a lot that goes into bullet manufacturing that most people don't get to see because they're not here or they don't come on our plant tour. And so there's this shear and bump where we're gonna take this copper wire and chop it into these copper slugs. These slugs are gonna become the jacket of the bullet. There's just a lot that goes into the design of the jacket. Really, That's what sets us apart, is the amount of engineering that goes into the jacket itself. This is our annealing room. So those slugs after shear and bump are too hard, they're too brittle to draw out into a jacket. So we're gonna bake them in an oven about 1275 degrees for about 30 or 40 minutes. Gonna make that slug soft again so we can draw it out into a bullet jacket. So this press is gonna make the jacket for the bullet. So we're gonna go from this slug to a finished jacket. Them slugs back here, and come down, be fed in, and those punches and dies are gonna shape that slug into this jacket. You're gonna have finished jackets coming out down here. So this is halfway there. This is how you make the jacket for an impact extruded bullet. With our impact extrusion process and our ability to control the thickness of the jacket all along the length of the bullet, that gives us the ability to design those purpose-built bullets that are specific to a certain application. This is where we're gonna complete the bullet by adding a lead core and a polymer tip to the jacket that we made on the other side. So we've got the jacket here that we made on the jacket press. We're gonna load those into the press here. Then over here, we've got the lead core being inserted into the jacket. Then it's gonna be tamped into the jacket. Gonna make a solid friction fit between the core and the jacket. Then the bullet's gonna flip over right here. We're gonna insert the polymer tip, form the nose, and you end up with a completed bullet. Yeah, there is a lot that goes into designing and constructing a bullet. You've got different parts and pieces that have to be combined together very precisely so that they're not only balanced and accurate, but so that they perform well. So this is our tumbling area. This is where we're gonna polish the bullets to a jewelry grade finish, make them really shiny and beautiful. So this is where we're gonna visually inspect each and every bullet that we make here at Nosler. Any little imperfection in that bullet, she's gonna be able to see and separate those out. Now, anything that would affect the performance of the bullet, those are gonna get separated out, those are gonna be scrapped. Any kind of minor cosmetic blemish, say a little scratch or discoloration, a water spot, those will separate out and we'll sell them as blems. All throughout the process, there's quality checks every step of the way. So this is our testing range. We've got a 100-yard long range here underground. So this is where we're gonna test all of our bullets for accuracy. We're gonna shoot them through a test barrel here, looking at group size, velocity, pressure, making sure everything is within spec so that we know that those bullets are perfect before we ship them out to our customers. How many rounds do you think you shoot like on an average day, Chris?
Maybe 300-400.
Here in our case manufacturing plant, we manufacture the cartridge cases that end up in our loaded ammunition, as well as our box component brass for hand loaders. Some people really understand the differences in bullet construction and what separates us from others, or why our bullets are so reliable. Other people don't understand as well, but they know that we've done our homework and that we've designed the performance into the product. We know how much time and effort is invested into a hunt. Everything that goes into that moment, we think about that every single day for every bullet that we make. And there's a lot of thought and engineering and testing that goes into designing those bullets so that we know exactly what they're gonna do every single time. Quality first comes down to the fact that the Nosler name is on the box of every product that we make.
Okay, this is on. I passed the first test. Got it on. Thank you. All right, well, thank you again for having us here. We'd like to we're proud of who we are, where we come from, and what we do. And why we're here today is, as Zach mentioned, we bought a company back in 2014, and then we were looking to expand, and REDI's a big part of why we're here. We've been in Redmond since 2016. And they helped us with acquiring the land, and then we're part of the enterprise zone there, so to make that economically affordable for us to build a building and move that company down here. So REDI's been a big part of why we're here today and what we're doing. And the city of Redmond's been great to work with. It's been just a blessing for us to do that. A lot of our workforce really is in Redmond anyway. So for us, hiring in Redmond, hiring in Bend, Redmond's been just actually night and day difference. It's been easier for us to fill our jobs in Redmond. We have people that want to live here, that want to work here, so that makes sense for us to be here. And then, for REDI, recruiting companies like us, manufacturing, we heard from some other manufacturers, we're a company that manufacture a product that we go out and sell worldwide. So to bring a company in that's manufacturing, that goes out and makes those sales outside, I think our sales in Oregon are probably 1% to 2% total. So it makes sense to bring these companies in. They're going to make a product. They're going to go out and sell that, bring that money back into the community, and then we hire people to come work for us. They're going to get that money and go out and spend that in the community on housing, transportation, and in the community we work with other machine shops here in town. So we're a great fit for what I think REDI's trying to do. So I'm trying to give another plug there for you, Steve. So, our next phase we've been working on for a couple years. I think 2 years ago we started kind of looking at our next expansion. So on that 60 acres we have out here, so as Zach said, we're kind of, if you look from the railroad tracks, if you're driving down 97, basically from Brad's Auto Body down, we have all that property, and we're looking at putting another building here right now. So this is rendering of the drawing we're doing. We kind of submitted our land use right now, so we're kind of getting that process going. It's been a long process to get there, but we're making progress on putting an 80,000 square foot building in here. So we're going to consolidate some of our manufacturing, so we're not going back and forth between Bend for a lot of what we do. Bring our workforce down here where we can consolidate those operations and make sense and create some more jobs here in Redmond. So this building shows you kind of the renderings of the drawings that we have that we submitted. And if everything works out perfect, we'll kind of hopefully break ground here soon in 2024 and then get this building going and get some workforce down here. So I think that's probably it. Probably our 15 minutes are up. We're happy to answer any questions for you guys if you have anything. So, yeah.
Got a few minutes for questions. Steve, question? Yes, in the back.
You're mainly big game focused, right? Big game hunting focused?
Yes.
Okay. I'm a bird hunter.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, mostly, that's our bread and butter is big game. But I know we've been asked 10,000 times if we're going to ever come out with like shot shells. And so I know it's definitely on John Nosler's desk, but I don't know if it's ever going to happen. But hopefully with a new workspace like that, we'll have room for new projects.
Great. Yes.
Have you guys ever thought about safety devices for your rifles?
We have. We meet probably once a month on R&D and new product ideas, and that's definitely something that's been on there. But lately, like the past 3 years, it's been so crazy. We've just been trying to keep up with our existing product line. So, but yeah, it's definitely something we've been looking at.
Have you ever had problems sourcing materials? Like, has that just been like an ever-present thing, getting materials, or is that just worked out?
Question was, do you have problems with sourcing materials, or is that how do you navigate that?
I mean, I would say, along with every other company out there, supply chain's been an issue for us. And part of the reason we've been in, we've had this huge demand, huge back order for our product. So the more everything we can make, we can sell right now. So it's just a matter of getting product in. So it's two things. It's one, hiring workers, and two, getting a consistent supply chain to come in for us for everything that we do as well. So yeah, we're consistent with all the other companies out there, I think, right now.
Thank you. 1, 2 more? Great. Let's give you a hand. Appreciate it. Mark, Zach. Thank you for being here.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
Okay. We are actually wrapping up. Man, I'm really good at time. or I just talk too fast. So I want to thank you all for being here. Hopefully this is content and speakers that are relevant to you, to what you're doing, to who you represent in your business, but also as a Redmondite, so our community here. We have a few raffle drawings. We want to bring those up. So if you all have your red ticket, find that. I've got too many pockets than I normally do. Courtney, how are we drawing? Yeah. As you're finding your ticket, I want to talk about a few extra upcoming events. I know I talked about our Investor Social January 10th. November 18th, EDCO has their Central Oregon Pub Talk. And then February 8th, the EDCO Annual Luncheon. That's typically at the River House. So watch your email, watch social media for more information on that. Do we have some fun tonight? Do we learn a little bit? Who wants to go shoot a moose? I do. Okay, everyone have their tickets? Yay, nay? Yeah, you got one, Marty? Good. So we have a few raffle items to give away. I want to say thank you to Hardenbrook Hardwoods, Justy's Jellies, Polar Bear Gas and Wash. Thank you for your donations. A couple of our gift baskets. I think we're just waiting on our bucket of tickets. Tina, what's up? I wear glasses now. I can see you. This is what I've been doing all the day, standing up here on a stage. Good to see you. Yes. The anticipation is building. We're looking for the ticket jar. It's coming. Okay, I guess I have to kill some time with a bad joke. So, fun fact, today is National Greasy Food Day. I don't know why. That's a day in of itself. Oh, okay. You're saved from the joke. It's really bad. No, you don't want to hear it. Okay. I'm going to do this legally. Could you draw one for me? Read it out if you can.
Are we doing the whole number? Yeah, let's get some light. Here we go. It's in the shadow. All right, the winning number is 2613523. Is that my number?
I don't know. That's why I was like, is that my number? 3523. What was that again? That's my number, 3523. All right, the last. Boy. I can't read.
3523.
3523. I gotta find my ticket now. Must be present to win. Definitely not me. Oh, we have a winner. Is that Amy? Come on down. That's not Amy. Go ahead. All right. Congratulations. What do we win? Mike's Fence t-shirts. That's awesome. Cut the sleeves off on those. They'll be great. Okay, one more, couple more here. Would you grab a ticket for me? I just want to be impartial. Hardenbrook Hardwoods. Yes. 261. Well, okay. Last four. 3455. Close doesn't count. Three, four, five, five. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. You got a carving board from Hardenbrook Hardwoods. Awesome. Hang on to it. Souvenir. All right, let's see what else we got here. Steve, would you do the favors with the honors? 3459. Hey. What's he win? A gift card for gas? Really? Man. And a hat. I think they do. Winner, winner. All right, thanks. Tim, draw me one out here. What's next? Jellies from Justy's.
3512.
3512. 35, Lorianne. Verify that, Courtney. 3512. You're good. There you go. That one. Oh, no. You just won't win again. This next basket has wine. Dawn, would you mind? Let's see. 3454. If it's wine, you know, I gotta double check that. 3455. Somebody's got it. Oh yeah. Okay, you're not here. Could you pick? Could you pick? Yeah. Pretty please, thank you. Let's see. 3420. Where are you at? 3420. Somebody's very excited. Add some wine to that, she'll be even more excited. That is from Express Employment Professionals. Thank you again, Chris. Last one? One or two more? Our next giveaway looks like a coffee card, blankets from Sunwest Builders. Do me the favors one more time. Oh, she got denied the wine? Oh, okay. What a good boss. Okay. That's really funny. Took her wine away. I was like, man. Okay, 3498. 3498. Who's got it? Jane. Welcome. Congrats. Thank you again, Sunwest Builders. All right, we're going to do it again, Tim.
3494.
3494 for the second chance at wine. 3494. Yeah. We got what you wanted. All right. Thank you again. Want to thank, again, Hardenbrook Hardwoods, Justy's Jellies, Sunwest Builders for your donations, and Express Employment Professionals, and Polar Bear Gas and Wash. Thank you. last but not least, I think there's some more meat on a stick. I haven't had any. Anytime there's meat on a stick, you know it's going to be good, especially with beer. So I want to thank you all. Special shout out to our sponsors. Thank you again. Mary, where are you? Mary Knight. I want to give Mary Knight a big hand. Thank you. I also want to acknowledge Courtney. She's our marketing chair. She's basically made me on track tonight, so thank you for my script, keeping me on it. Mary, thank you. Congratulations to our winners. Thank you again. Thank you to our guests, Nosler. Thank you to our housing panel. We look forward. Socialize. We've got the room for the evening. Have a great night.